So today I'm going to be talking about something that I posted on one of my many Instagram accounts. And well, the post goes, relationships are harder now because conversations become texting, arguments become phone calls, and feelings become status updates. See, now before Instagram and Facebook and other social media outlets, there was a time where people actually, spent a lot of time together talking face to face. So if you had an issue with your girlfriend or you had an issue with your boyfriend, you had no choice but to actually, talk to them face to face about it. But these days, it just feels like whenever you log in on your Facebook or your Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, there's somebody saying, oh, fuck these, and, the word, fuck these girls, fuck these bitches, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of angry people out there. And I think the reason why that is because we spend so much time on our partner's social media that we get so agitated and so aggravated thinking, well, why didn't he text me at such and such time? Oh, so he had time to like these pictures, he had time to post pictures of this, that, and the other. He had time to Snapchat what he was doing, but he didn't have time to call me or text me or whatever. And that may be true. Like sometimes, I find that, you want to talk to somebody or you want to just check up on them, and then right before you do that, you find that they're busy, snapping whatever they're doing or updating stuff on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And you're thinking, wait a minute, we're supposed to be together here. Why haven't you texted me or called me? That's fair enough. But sometimes I also think that as women, especially, we kind of overreact because we've become like the FBI. We investigate everything that people are doing on social media, and then we get so irritable, and then we, instead of telling that person that, look, I don't like when you do X, Y, and Z, instead of telling that person how you feel, we update our status on Facebook and say, you know what, fuck these boys, fuck these girls, I don't like such and such, I don't like such and such, indirecting people all the time. That's all we ever do. And I find that this generation, not this generation, but it's going to get even worse because, there's more and more social media platforms that are coming out, and the more they come out, the more people are just becoming like this. Oh, I hate him. Instead of telling him, like, look, I don't like you did what you did, or I don't like the fact that, you have so much time to update your social media, but you have no time to call me. But the point I'm trying to make with this is there has to be a balance with everything. There's always a balance with everything. If you have time to be on social media 24/7, then you can dedicate some of that time to your other half, so that it doesn't become a situation where instead of expressing your feelings to that person, you're constantly on social media, you're constantly updating your social media, and then that person's like, well, that's clearly indirect to me, why can't you just pick up the phone and call me? But I don't know, that's just how I feel about the whole thing anyway. And sometimes also, this goes for men and women too. Sometimes when somebody is updating, somebody's making you, get to that point where you're updating your status and you're indirecting them and you're arguing over Facebook or whatever, sometimes you just have to accept that maybe, just maybe, they don't care about you enough to address the situation face to face. Now, again, you wouldn't know that until you try and actually talk to them face to face. And another thing that I hate also is, when I do go on Facebook, I see, especially people that are married, and they are updating their statuses, and they're saying, writing poems and stuff. And then when you read it, you're like, that's an obvious indirect to your husband or whoever. And it's like, well, I can even understand boyfriend and girlfriend relationships, people doing that kind of thing. But when it's a marriage, I'm pretty sure you owe it to that person to sit them down and be like, look, I don't like this and I don't like that. This is how I would like to see some change. And then that person will be like, oh, you know what? You're right. But because we're spending so much time on our phones all the time, how are people supposed to know how we truly feel about certain things? And again, I'm not bashing social media saying we shouldn't update our status or we shouldn't post anything or we shouldn't do whatever. But it's just, you know, especially with the new trend of relationship goals. People are so concerned about how their relationships look like on social media that they're not even taking the time out to actually spend it together, like, you know, face to face, like properly. Because half of the time when you go out into town or whatever, you see couples, that's all they're doing. You know, they're eating dinner, they're taking a selfie of it. There's nothing wrong with taking photos of what you're doing together, but if, you know, you spend like a good 10 minutes of just going back and forth taking pictures of the food, your face, your this, your that, and then because I'm a people watcher, so sometimes I just watch people and I'm like, oh, okay, so you spend all that time taking all those photos and now you're just quiet. You're just looking at the menu, you're just whatever, you're quiet. And then now you have no choice but to look at your phone again because it's like there's nothing to talk about. But sometimes I feel like, especially if you're in a serious relationship with somebody, just put the phone away. Or even set rules. Just say, you know what, after a certain time, unless you're obviously waiting for an important phone call, a text message or email, let's just put the phones away. Let's watch a movie together, let's just talk, let's get to know each other, let's spend time together, let's just put the phones away. You'll find out so much information about your other half versus, you know, when you're always on your phone. Like if your head is always like this, how are you supposed to know how your boyfriend's day went or your girlfriend's day went or how that job interview went? Because sometimes people are so concerned about people knowing what they're doing on social media that they actually neglect their relationships. They forget that their partner needs their attention, you know, like actual face-to-face attention. And that's partly to do with social media, because like I was talking to my mum and my sisters the other day, I was like, reality has actually become social media and what's actually real has become fake. So, you know, people, what I mean by that is it's so normal to be talking to somebody in America or somebody in Australia that you've never met and wanting them to know what you're doing, you know, with your day, versus picking up the phone and saying to your brother or your sister or your girlfriend or your whoever and saying, hey, it's sunny outside, do you want to go out? And then, you know, people don't really do that anymore. They'll rather, sometimes I feel like the only reason why people even go outside is just so they can have something to put on their Snapchat, so that they can have something to put on Instagram. Which, again, there's nothing wrong with these things, but if that's all you ever do, then that's where the problems actually start in relationships, because people don't know how to communicate anymore. They don't know how to just be normal in a relationship, because people have to remember there was a time where mobile phones, the most excitement you could get out of your phone was playing a game. Because half of the time, if you wanted to be on social media, you actually had to use your laptop, like your computer, and go on MSN, Bebo, MySpace, all those, you know, those things that we used to use back then. But because now everything is so instant, it's quick. Everybody is on social media. And I find it funny that on YouTube, people vlog like their day-to-day lives. But in reality, when you think about it, we're all vloggers. We all vlog parts of our day, whether we do it in little snippets on Snapchat or whatever, however we do it, we're all vloggers. And I feel like that part of our lives is going to affect the way we interact with people just face to face. Because sometimes you find some people can't even have a normal conversation with you. Like you sit down with somebody and there's nothing to talk about. They just can't talk. But the minute, you know, you separate, they go home, you go home, you can talk for hours on the phone, because you can send each other memes and laugh about it. You can say, oh, did you see what this celebrity posted on their Twitter, and you laugh about it, you know, but not realizing that you can have those same conversations face to face. Like Beyonce came out with Lemonade not that long ago, and you know, that's something to talk about. But instead of talking about it face to face, you reserve those conversations for when you see people. Because I feel like if you talk about everything on your phone, by the time you actually meet that person face to face, it's kind of like, oh, okay, we talked about everything now. But I just feel like there has to be a balance with everything, because there's gonna come a time where there's really no point in even being in relationships, because you know, it's like you just meet somebody on Twitter and you don't actually have to meet them. You can just create a whole bunch of chemistry on Twitter, on, you know, them DMs, and just talk like that, and that's it. what's the point of meeting each other when everything we do is online anyway? Might as well have virtual relationships. And I'm pretty sure in China somewhere that is actually true. People have virtual relationships. But we are still living in a real world where real people exist. You know, if something happened right now where we couldn't use our phones and we couldn't use our cameras or whatever, we have no choice but to talk to each other. So I feel like if you're in a relationship with somebody that you truly care about, and you know, you really care about their feelings, take some time to be like, you know what, let me put my phone away, let me talk to them. And if I feel like I'm upset about something, let me not update my status first so that thousands of people know what's going on in my relationship. Let me go to that person first and talk to them, see how they feel about it. And then when you've hashed it out and you've spoken about it, you find that, you know, now you can go on social media and post the happy stuff because you've hashed out all the bad stuff face to face. That all you have is good energy now. So when you post your selfies, they're real selfies with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. They're not being faked. It's not being staged, because you know that you don't have any bad feelings towards that person or whatever. You're just happy to be around them. You're happy to take pictures with them and, you know, do what we do now. But I just feel like put the phones down. Have some real conversations. Everything is not always about phone. Unless the person is far away where you have no choice but to interact with them through, you know, your phone, that's fine. But if that person is not that far away from you and you can afford to see them every other day, then why not do that versus always talking to them on the phone? Because that's just a relationship killer for me anyway. I can't stand a guy who wants to get to know you but all they ever do is want to chat to you on the phone. It's like, there's restaurants out there, we can go for a walk, we can go chill at the park, we can go for a picnic, we can do all sorts of things together and get to know each other face to face. Why do I need to, you know, be constantly texting you? How do I get to know somebody over the phone? So that's how I feel like a lot of people have all this pent up anger or emotions deep down, because, you know, we're not being allowed to express those feelings face to face. We're constantly having to resort to going on Instagram and hashing out our feelings when we could just tell that person that, look, I don't like the fact that you do this and you do that. So just to wrap the whole thing up,